Assalamu alaikum. Shalom aleika. We want to welcome everyone to the House of Consciousness. I just want to say, give yourself a round of applause. You made it here, safe. My name is Elder Ramesu. As you can see, there are other elders in attendance. So I want to say I'm in my early 60s, so I want to, in the tradition of our African culture, I want to ask the permission of those who are older than me for permission to speak. I have permission to speak, so if I say anything wrong, you know who to come at, right? When this is over. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour, now, turn it down this one, yeah, we're good? So I'm going to pour a libation, and libation is an African ritual that we do in all of our ceremonies. What we're asking for is the spirit and the direction of our ancestors. We want to invoke them into our circle so that they can give us, guidance and to ensure that we're working with Maat. Those are the principles that we're standing on today here. So I'm gonna mention an elder's, not an elder. I'm gonna mention an ancestor's name, and as a response, you would say, Ashe. Ashe. So, in the name of the Most High God, who is known by many, many names, we ask that you keep your hands over us. We beseech thee to keep your hands over us so that you can control the strings of the course of our lives, so that we can clean up the filth made by the West and its non-Semitic fools. If we should forget and fall into error during the course of this court, we ask that you shower your divine forgiveness and blessings on us. And with that, we carry on. So I want to give reverence to the most powerful pharaoh in ancient Kemet, Ursa Ma'atra, Setepenra, Ramesu Beri Amen. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Marcus Messiah God.
Ashe. Ashe.
Noble Drew Ali.
Ashe. Ashe.
Louise Glover.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Claire 13 heads.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Slave that came to the Middle Class.
Ashe. Dr. Ben.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe. And Ashe. So what we're going to do, we're going to eat, right, get comfortable, and then we're going to come back and open up the community court. How about that? And the food is in the back. Just help yourself. We'll come back here in a few minutes. All right? Thank you. Torah. Once again, I want to welcome everyone to the House of Consciousness Community Court. And I just want to say before we start, the old African proverb where it says it takes a village to raise a child. And I remember as a child, going into the other neighborhood, other projects around the corner, and doing some things that wasn't really nice. And boy, I got my behind tore, right? And then when I got home, got another one. You know why? Because the community was involved. So before we start, I just want to say, if you can close your eyes just for a moment, just close your eyes just for a moment. And when I count to 3, in your mind, count from 1 to 10. And when you get to 10, out loud, say, hello. 1, 2, 3. So what just happened? What just happened? Let me explain to you my take. We all speak English. And we all heard the instructions, close your eyes. Well, believe it or not, some of y'all didn't close your eyes. Had eyes wide open, for whatever the reason. And we all started at the same time, but we got to 10 when we thought we could have, when we wanted to, when we thought we should have. If we're ever to come together as a community here in Hampton Roads, right, we have to learn each other's differences. We have to be able to be in tune with one another to the point where there's a rhythmic flow that takes place, because we're not all going to agree on everything. But can we disagree agreeably? That's peace, that's harmony. And this is what we want to attempt to do this evening. So I want to open up by saying that being an elder on the Elders Council in this community, we were privy to some of the things that took place before the splitting of the two bookstores. So I want to say I'm here tonight to represent the spirit of Maat. The spirit of Maat. And I know that there are those of you who are here, my hope is that you come here also in the spirit of Maat. Because some people, believe it or not, might have been afraid to come here, because coming here means that you have to choose a side. And it's not about choosing a side. It's about standing on the principle of Maat. Truth, justice, reciprocity. You know, all those things that will bring harmony. So, being a part of the Elders Council, you know, there were some things that we were privy to before the separation. And because of those things, I made it a point to reach out to both bookstores, because people were coming to me and other elders to do something, because there's a whole lot of negativity that was going around. So I made an attempt to reach out to the other bookstore, Sister Q, and we had a long dialogue about the different things that were taking place, and I offered her an invitation to be a part of the community court. I've already previously spoken with Mac and Sister Drea, and they were willing to sit down to discuss whatever the differences were. And Sister Q told me that she didn't want to do that. She preferred not to do that. So as a result, here we are today, because we want to stand on truth, justice, and reciprocity. We want to make sure that we get everything out so that the community is aware of what's actually going on. So, with no further ado, we want to read some of the things that I don't know if you were privy to, but there were some things going around on the internet, and it's pretty strong allegations. Pretty strong allegations, you know. And unfortunately, I don't see anyone from the other side, or the person who I don't even know who this person is, who wrote that article. But from what I understand, you know, after I read it, I took it as a real coward attempt to put out some information that you cannot stand on, or you want to be a phantom and be invisible to not be able to at least answer, you know, what your allegations are. If you allege that this happened, at least be man enough to come up and say, okay, well, this is why I'm saying X, Y, Z. That didn't take place in this case. So, I'm gonna,
she's going to read the article for some of the folks who have not read it. She's going to read it, and then we're going to address it really quick, point by point, and then we're going to go into the bookstore situations that the elder was talking about.
People are not exposed or Astro Crazy and irritated Genie caught up in the House of Consciousness fraud. Norfolk, Virginia, people are now coming forward revealing damaging information about a popular black militant hangout called the House of Consciousness in Norfolk, Virginia. The venue is a bookstore turned bully pulpit where turned bully pulpit where black separatists gather to where black separatists where black separatists gathered to plan and discuss Black history and how to defeat white supremacy. The owner, Drea Winstead, is being accused of everything from drug dealing to bootlegging the very lectures of the guests who currently visit her store. Both allegations of lies, greed, and betrayal are being launched by former friends and business associates of Winstead. "We started the House of Consciousness together," said one former business partner who we'll call Gwen. I even quit my job and invested everything I had, but she forced me out by putting everything in her name. Drea is very deceitful, and she will say or do anything to get money out of you. She's been getting away with dirt for so many years, it's just an everyday thing to her, recalled the woman who wished to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation. She's been bootlegging other people's work and products for years, but to bootleg the very people who give speaking engagements at her store is just low down. If Asher Kwesi and Irritated Jeannie came to the House of Consciousness to speak, as soon as they walk out the door, Angie turns her DVD burner on and goes to work duplicating their stuff and keeping the money. No stranger to controversy, Andrea Winstead, who has also used the names Andrea Winston, Andrea Wilson, and now Andrea Walker, had 2 prior businesses that were caught up in drug busts and subsequently shut down in Virginia Beach and Norfolk Military Highway area. A few years ago, when Bill's flea market was raided by federal agents, Winstead's boyfriend Victor strolled into the building carrying a briefcase with marijuana and cocaine inside. He was immediately arrested. He did the time for her, Gwen shrugged. That stupid SOB walked right inside the building while the police were tossing up everybody's store and had their dope with him. Now, how stupid was that? Recalled a white vendor whose shop was set up right next to Victor and Winstead. They never got along with anybody in the building. They created a very hostile climate. Over the past few years, several well-known speakers visited the bookstore to give lectures, speeches, and advice to local patrons. Paid engagements and book signings are common occurrences. Unfortunately, most speakers don't know or don't care about the authenticity of the cause or the fact or the background of the owner. They're simply there to get paid. I can't say whether or not Asher Kwesi or the Irritated Jeannie knew that Norfolk's House of Consciousness was a predatory business, but they should have done their homework. All money ain't good money, but I know that a lot of people stopped going there because they felt Angie was a phony and that she screwed a lot of people out of money over the years, said another former friend who was once in Winstead's inner circle. One well-known local activist told me snitching is frowned upon within the conscious community even more harshly than the Black community as a whole. This atmosphere allows parasites and bottom feeders like Winstead to take advantage of people of color who come to her doorstep seeking knowledge. I've known Angie for years, said a former associate with close ties to the conscious community. He wasn't shy about his feelings for Andrea Winstead and the House of Consciousness. I could tell you 1,000 stories about her. Did you know that she had somebody rob her ex-boyfriend for a pound of weed? Swear to God. And they pistol whipped him too. A brother named Twin asked her about that. Hell, he probably doesn't even know it was her that set him up. Another ex named Brad, she said she started stalking him and put tape recorders around his house. 3 months later, the feds raided his store and he ended up doing 4 years. One former business partner named Julius got locked up after she had one of her girlfriends file false assault and battery charges against him. While he was gone, she changed the locks to their store and told the white men who owned the building not to let him on the premises because he was dangerous. So she works with them devils to help screw Black folks over. I'm telling you, she's really dirty. The original proprietor, George Welch, affectionately known as Brother George to the community, started the downtown bookstore over 30 years ago. The Self-Improvement Center, as it was called, was one of the few places African Americans could go to purchase books by Black authors, as well as herbs and dietary supplements. Several years ago, medical issues forced Brother George to sell the business to Winstead and her associates. Welch died a short time later, believing his legacy was in good hands. Winstead renamed the store House of Consciousness after a popular activist store in New York, hoping that people would think the two were linked. But Steinhutter, the entrepreneur and proprietor of the New York establishment, said they are not in business together. When asked if the above allegations were merely jealous or hate, Gwen said she and the others felt the black community had a right to know who they were dealing with. The people we told you about can be easily located. Sure, I lost a lot of money, but I'll let God deal with Drea. I moved on, I got my own store now.
Yeah, I just want everyone to be aware of a term called yellow journalism, where, the journalist takes a one-sided view and deals with sensationalism. In this case, he didn't even have his facts right, because the House of Conscience is not a bookstore in New York. It's Barnett, it's a house. It's not a bookstore. And there are some other things that are inconsistent, but nevertheless, we'll let you be the judge.
Did everybody hear the article that she read? Yes. Okay. A lot of it is just ridiculous conjecture, but I'm gonna go over a few things just so we can get the point here. And first, let me say this before we start. I just found out recently that Quinesta White's mother passed away. So I'm gonna take a moment of silence for Quinesta's mom. Everybody bow their head, give her a moment of silence. Thank y'all for that. This meeting here today is being done because a few weeks ago, the elder went to her and tried to set up a meeting between her and I personally, and she refused the meeting on a public and a private level. So that's why we're here today, to try to get some resolve, because she didn't want to have the meeting. So I just wanted to say condolences to Quinesta's mom though. All right, as far as the article is concerned, the guy here, Xavier James, if you listen to her and what she said, and those who know me and know Quinesta can see that the storyline is directly linked to her and I's business relationship and personal relationship. Those who know both of us that's not hard to tell. As far as me having many names, I'm gonna give you an example of how the lies were exuberated. My name is Andrea Winston. My family calls me Angie. My friends call me Drea. My father's name was Walker. And so to honor him, on my Facebook page, you will see Andrea Walker. But Weinstead and Wilson, I don't even know where he got that from. So I'm just giving you an example of how the article was beefed up. As far as Omet taking a case from me from having a case of cocaine, let's use our common sense. If he had a case of cocaine 5 years ago and marijuana, would he be standing here with us today? How much time do you get for a case of cocaine? Okay, so that's just ridiculous. So him having a case of cocaine and marijuana and him doing a bid for me, that's something that you can publicly look up. You don't even have to believe me. Go online, criminal records are public. He nor I have a criminal record, okay? There's me having an ex-boyfriend named Brad that I was stalking. I did have an ex-boyfriend named Brad. Did I stalk him? No. I caught him cheating on MySpace. I left him, he begged me back, we deaded the relationship, that was it. But that information was privy to Quinesta White. So when people say to me, well, no, it wasn't her. She said that she didn't write the article, she didn't have anything to do with it. Everybody knows their own life that they lead. If you have a blister on your foot and you talk to me about your blister today, and then tomorrow you go online and you read about your blister and you know that you told me, who are you going to look at to say somebody wrote about your blister? I mean, that's just common sense. So there's certain things in the article that were only privy to her and I relationship. And I know that it's due to unresolved issues behind what is going on between the bookstores. So I just wanted to, if anybody has any questions on the article or wants to know or clarify something, please. Thank you, Chief.
I just want to know,
He's going to give you a mic so the camera can pick it up.
I would just like to know when are the meetings for overthrowing the white man's government? Because I've been coming here As long as I've been here, and I ain't never seen them meetings. I ain't got nobody told me about them, nothing like that. Overthrowing the white man's government, that's, you know, that the beginning of the article talked about.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm glad you brought that up, my good brother. In the beginning of the article, it named the House of Consciousness as a black militant group, and that sat around and talked about history and white supremacy. Now, as all of us know, we do have people that come here that don't like white folks. We got people that come here that are white folks, that buy food. We have people that come here that argue with me about don't hate their white folk mate. So that whole conversation about if this is a black militant place, and let's put things into perspective. The article is written in COINTELPRO fashion. That is what happens to people before they get raped, before they get shut down, before they get ran over, before they get run amok. That's the type of thing that happens to them. They start getting, what is the word I'm looking for? Run over in the media. Right, character assassination. Because let's think about this. The article is not written, to me, in my opinion, for customer loss. We're not going to lose customers because the article said that Dre is a cocaine dealer. I'm sure that if I said anybody here smoked weed or sold cocaine, I'm sure that people here would raise their hands. So it's not written in the fashion of saying that, oh, you know, I want Dre to lose customers. It's written in a fashion to say that unwanted police activity is going to happen here. Because if this gets out, what will happen? Unwanted police activity. I'm a drug dealer. This is a black supremacist place. I had somebody robbed. I had somebody pistol whipped. All of these are things that are going to alert police, not unwanted customers. I'm not concerned about whether my community or my family is going to keep coming here and buying nachos. I'm worried about is the police going to come in here and plant something on us. And this is so much bigger than me. Right now, Omek and I are looking for the next generation to take this place over. So it is bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? This is hurting the person that's going to come in after us and take this place over and try to continue Brother George's legacy. That's going to hurt them. So that's what this is about. So I just wanted to get that article straight. And I invited Xavier James here on several occasions. I did his blog site. I invited him. I emailed him, and he just came out with another article that I just got interviewed recently with Shay Black on, where he said that I'm trying to damage his name, so he's gonna come out with more stuff. But I tried to invite him to this, and I told him that if he couldn't show up, that I would Skype him in, and I got no response. So I just wanted to say that as well.
I'm pretty sure that there are those of you who understand a lopsided version of what's going around. So this is an opportunity now to clear the air. So if there's something that you really, you know, are itching to ask, bring it. Bring it. Because the only thing we want to do is resolve the issue. That's all. But you had something to say. I was about to say, yo, you know, the youth, how wise they are. So, you know, if there's a question that's lingering, please don't be afraid to ask it. This is the time, because this could be an attempt. Because like what Drea said, we talk about COINTELPRO, counterintelligence, you know, organization, and you know, believe me, you know, and there's probably somebody sitting in here right now. You know what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't put it past, you know, this particular venue or other events that are coming down the road. There's always somebody in here, you know, running. And I'm glad there's a camera rolling and it's being recorded. So no one can go back and say, well, this is what they said. Because, you know the telephone story, right? You tell the first person, by the time we get to the 10th, it's a whole entire different story. So we have it on film. And again, you know, I just want to hope that when we leave here, you know, we can leave here with a perfect understanding of what's really going down, in the hopes that, it's my hope that both bookstores come together. It would be a shame to waste, you know, the resources in the community. We have two beautiful bookstores that are capable of being role models to our youth. Why not come together?
Islam.
Did anybody have any questions for me on the article before I go into the bookstore stuff? Okay, time for honesty. Who here has heard that I owe Quinesta white money? Be honest, please be honest. That's it? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 people. 4 people have heard that I owe. Who's heard any other rumors that they need out before I get started? Nobody? I don't think, y'all not being honest with me. But okay, we'll start with the money situation. First, for the people that don't know, we started off down the street at the corner where the Newport sign is. That's where we opened up the House of Consciousness. It was Quinesta, myself, Omek, and a gentleman named William. We opened it up together as 4 partners. As time went on, the reason for our breakup, to make a long story short, was Omek and I was doing a majority of the work. And at the end, I have paperwork here to prove all of these things. So y'all can come up, look at the minutes on our meetings, look at our contracts, and all of this, okay? That's the reason why we started breaking up, because me and Omek was doing most of the work. Omek wound up going to jail for child support. Most people here know that. I lived in the House of Consciousness for 6 months. Even though I had 2 other partners, I lived in there for 6 months because I wasn't getting any assistance with the day-to-day activities. Sales, event bookings, accounting, anything, okay? And Kim wound up standing there with me a lot of the time. Kim is right there in the audience. Yes, please stand up. She wound up staying there with me a lot of the time and assisting me in this process because my other partners wasn't there to help. So y'all can talk to her about the different things that happened, but that's the reason the business started falling apart. So when Omek came back from jail, we wound up having meetings with my partners and explaining to him, and I have the minutes here, talking to them about the fact that we were upset and disappointed that they weren't doing anything, whatever. Things started to crumble from that point. They got upset with us and they started doing less. Even though I have a letter here from William stating that he would do his part, and he never did his part, Quinesta either, okay? As far as the money that Quinesta says I owe her, I'm going to pass this around so everybody can see. Quinesta and I did a buyout contract of $2,500, okay? That was her buyout. And at the bottom of the buyout, it says, Q will remove small refrigerator and 8 wooden chairs. That was her buyout. $2,500 and a small refrigerator and 8 wooden chairs. You can see both of our signature on that. What wind up happening is, excuse me a second. What wind up happening is 2 things. Q bought her contract back. Kim was there in the store working at the time when this happened. She bought her contract back and she removed bubblegum machines, pictures, t-shirts, tables, racks, small refrigerator, and I have a full inventory list that I actually took to my lawyer at the time when I was contemplating on whether I should sue her for grand larceny, which I had a cut and dry case according to my lawyer, okay? So she came back and took all of these things, which totaled well over $2,500. That's the first part. The second part of this is, these are our bylaws that we governed ourselves by in business when we were all in business together. We just made a copy. You can look at the full bylaws if you like. We just made a copy so you can see what part of the bylaws she violated. But here's the front of the bylaws, and as you can see, her, mine, and Victor Anderson, which is his name until Remessa named him Omek, okay, signed. Inside of these bylaws, it states, no member may participate in any activities or businesses that would be deemed a conflict of interest of the House of Consciousness without the approval of the fellow members. If a member should sell their shares and is no longer affiliated with Lightkeepers Inc., that was our corporate name, or the House of Consciousness, they must wait a minimum of 5 years before opening up a business that is identical or similar to the House of Consciousness. After the 5-year waiting period is over, the location of the business that the ex-member opens cannot be within a 50-mile radius of the House of Consciousness located at 600 35th Street, Norfolk, 23508, or whatever the current address is listed. Okay? We did this for a reason. Brother George told us, you need to put all your thoughts in writing because you are friends now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you will always be friends. If you put your general concerns on paper now, you put yourself in a position where everybody must abide by those terms. She broke these terms. Does everybody know where Conscious Planet is? Is it not in walking distance from here? Does it not say here with her signature on it, and I'm going to pass this around? No, if a member should sell their shares and is no longer affiliated with Lightkeepers Inc. or the House of Consciousness, they must wait a minimum of 5 years, and after the 5 years, 50 miles. The reasons that we did this is because we wanted to avoid any confusion, any division. That's why this was written, to avoid that. So we wouldn't have people coming in here as they do saying, is this Conscious Planet? We wouldn't have people going in there saying, is this the House of Consciousness? Well, why is this the House of Consciousness and this is Conscious Planet? Well, why do y'all sell this cheaper than, why do y'all? This was going to stop confusion. If she had opened up the Conscious Planet in Portsmouth, in Suffolk, it wouldn't be that type of confusion. We knew this as businesswomen in the beginning, and that is why we wrote this contract. Let me ask y'all a question. Just hypothetically. Everybody know Miss Shabazz across the street that does the African clothes? Okay. If I go across the street, and me and Omek, we rob Miss Shabazz, and we take all of her displays and her clothes, and we come in here, and we set it up as if it's our stuff, are you going to continue to support us?
No.
Be honest.
No.
Be honest. Okay, now I'm not saying don't support Conscious Planet, but that same concept that I gave you is not far from what I'm telling you it happened between myself and Quinesta White. This is the stuff, well hold on, let me start passing this around. This is the first part. This is the second part. I'm starting this way and then I'm starting this way. Okay, that's then I'm starting this way. And I have the originals, if anybody wants to check those out. These are the copies, just so everybody can see. The sheet that they're passing around, you're going to see 2 of the same contracts. One is going to be with both of our signatures, and then one is going to be with just my signature alone. That was her contract. She brought back that contract in the paragraph that you see with the chairs and all of those things. That's her handwriting of what she took. So while that's being passed around, I wanted to talk about something else. Well, yeah, that's, the elder was saying to discuss the fact that I owe her money. Well, no, I do not owe her any money. I thought I was saying that. But I don't owe her any money because of the void of the contracts. And the fact that she came back into the building and took about $7,000 worth of stuff. And the fact that she violated. Now, when I originally went to my lawyer, her name is Tamina Wilson. You can look her up, you can call her, you can talk to her. I literally paid her already. She had 600 of my dollars, where I was going to file grand larceny charges on Quinesta, and I was going to file a conflict of competitive clause. It was I forgot the legal term for it, non-compete clause charges, where I was going to get punitive damages. I spoke to this elder, I spoke to my mother, I had a reading from Amiable, and I had a reading from the Shechem in DC. All told me not to do it. That it would cost me more time, effort, and money. And my mother straight up told me, she said, y'all are both quote-unquote conscious places. If you go after her, the city will surely assist you in closing her down, and then you are next. And that is why I didn't do it. Not to mention the fact that I'm not trying to file grand larceny charges on a person who has a child and a job. I'm not a devil, you know, I'm not evil, so I'm not going to do that. But I'm not going to lie to you. I was infuriated, and I got my little $600 up deposit, and I surely would have paid it. So while you guys are looking at that, I also wanted to ask you, who here has heard that we are all about money? Thank you. Thank you for being honest. Thank you. What I have here, and you guys can come up and check these out. These are books from the House of Consciousness when we were down the street here. These books, and I just did 3 months worth. It should be enough to prove the point here. These books, which is my handwriting, Q's handwriting, Omec's handwriting, and William's handwriting. You see all of us. This is the day-to-day stuff. When Q did come in, if anybody knows about the House of Consciousness down the street, Q would come in on Sundays. Did anybody remember that? Okay. So you'll see her Sunday handwritings in here as well. These books were taken from the old House of Consciousness. If you look in the bottom of these books, you'll see a negative. Y'all can come up and see this, but you see a negative at the bottom. Omec's and I's meeting with them, one of our problems with them in the minutes that I have up here was that when the store came up short, nobody was assisting us in paying the bills. And this is what the elder was talking to, that they had privy on this information, because they went over our books with them in a public forum. It was all of the partners and the elders. They were not helping us pay the bills. So when you see these negatives and you see the store still surviving, who do you think paid those bills? I paid those bills. Omec paid those bills. So if we were here for money, we would not have kept doing this because we was losing money. These are three months worth of books in a row, all at a loss. I have 2 other businesses. So I would not have kept doing this if I was about the money. This is not a rich man's job. I don't know who could say that I'm about the money when the people on the inside know that this is not a rich man's job. Out of everybody in this room, tell me, for the person in this room who has came in here the last month and spent $500, raise your hand. $300, raise your hand.
You mean at the same time?
All together. Just in a month, all together. All together. Just in this room. So that do y'all know what I drive? I drive a 1990 MPV. That's what I drive. So I am not in this for the money. I promised Brother George when we took this over, and I need to make this clear also. When me and Quinessa bought this business from Brother George did not know Quinessa. I knew Brother George. I came and sat with him almost every month. Most of the people in this room that I knew before House of Consciousness. Righteous is one of them. So I took over Brother George because his family did not want to take it over. His daughter told me straight up, I don't want to have nothing to do with this shit. And that is a quote. So we took this business over to keep his legacy alive. That is why I'm here. I'm not here to make $1. We feed the children free. We give free books to the jail. The last person who bought groceries for our food program, raise their hand. The last person who donated money for our book program, raise their hand. So who's paying for that? Me and Omec pay for that out of our pocket. So when people say that we're just about money, that breaks my heart. Because I got proof sitting right here in black and white to show you that we operate in a negative on occasion. And we was operating in a negative when we had 4 partners. 4. And me and Omec footed the bill. When Sarah Sue said he came down the first time, I paid $500 out of my pocket, donated money to give the community a free show to Sarah Sue said the first time he came. Every time we collect money for ticket prices when a speaker comes here, that money filtrates right back into the speaker's hands. Now that we have a bigger venue, when we bring people here, a lot of times we'll negotiate with the speaker to where they get the majority of the money just for bringing the speaker. For example, me and Brother Eternal had a problem here recently because he was upset that he had to pay to come into an event. Because he said that he felt like drummers should come free. And I'm not mad at that. Problem is, it wasn't my event. That's what I told the man. When he came for Ashraf Kwesi and Mary Kwesi, it was Jeannie's event. And we had to get up money for Ashraf Kwesi and Mary Kwesi, which, I don't know if y'all know, but that is not cheap. It surely is not free. So when he came in and he complained about having to pay for a seat, we told him, don't worry about it, brother, come on. And we paid cash money to Gene for his seat. So when people say, well, y'all just hear about the money, what aspect of this is about the money? When we sell the same books that we have in the library that you can come in here and read for free. That is an oxymoron to me, and it's backwards. But that's my speech.
Yeah, and I just want to sometimes seeing is knowing. I'm not going to say seeing is believing. And that word believe is a lie, right? But y'all all just ate, didn't y'all? Food was free, and she does this, her and Olmec, on occasion. You know what I mean? And, for me, this is what community is all about. This is a safe haven where we can come and, and share our likes and dislikes with our neighbors. We're a community of people of different cultures, different, belief systems, but we can function, as a strong, Black Wall Street, and I think that there are people who are in fear of that happening. So at all costs, let me break them up. Let me put a whole lot of garbage in the equation. I'm not going to say that, we're going to do that. I'm going to say that we're going to eventually come together, right, and we're going to work as a family. Is that the way it happens? Because we have brother Doctor, right, who has the community called the Kulu Academy, right, who coming up on 35th Street, right? We want to get more about your community in a little bit, but let's give that brother a round of applause.
This is the time where I ask y'all to ask me questions. Ask me the questions about rumors or whatever. Shay, we need the mic.
Speaking on the job.
Yeah, no.
I'm ready to continue. I am.
My question is, when the person that you were partnered with returned to the store with her contract, who was there?
Kim.
Kim. All right, so her contract stated that she was to take her refrigerator and a few chairs.
Yes, ma'am.
She took opposite of that. She took other things.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't someone address that at that time?
That is a great, thank you. That's a great question. First, we need to understand that Kim is scared of police. I had a conversation, I had a conversation with Kim previous, and I said, look, Q may come because, let me back up a little bit. When Q first left, I had the locks changed. And Q came about midnight, and when she came, I asked Dante's in the room, I asked Dante, please ride by, because at that time we had a neighbor, he had a shoe store. She came by at midnight with a U-Haul truck, one size smaller than the biggest one, to the store. Now, I know that it doesn't take that size of a U-Haul truck to get 8 chairs and a small refrigerator. So when she came to the store with a U-Haul truck, the door was locked. She got upset, she called the city, she called the health department on me, it was a big mess. But when she wound up coming back to the store, it was about a month later, after we signed the contracts. She came in when Kim was in there. I was out shopping for the store. I told Kim, if she tries to come back, make sure she only takes 8 chairs and a small refrigerator. Call the cops if anything more is taken. But if anybody knows Kim, Kim is scared of the police. So when she came and took the stuff, Kim was there and she witnessed them take the stuff and she tried calling me. So when I got back to the store, I called the police. And I asked them, could I file a report then? And they told me that it was a civil matter because she at one time was a partner. And I needed to go down to the magistrate and take out charges. And that's about the time I went to go see the lawyer.
Okay, so an easier point would have been, at that time, since she's afraid of the police, is just film her taking the stuff with a cell phone. That way, you would have proof that she took more than she was supposed to, which equaled or zeroed out her balance of $2,500.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. But the fact that she brought the contract back, my lawyer said that the part where she claimed that she took the stuff is in her own handwriting. And she did not deny that. She wrote it. So she'll tell you that she wrote it. I mean, that's, you know, so she herself will tell you that she came back.
Validates the fact that she was taking more and she did.
Right. But that was without my, that, we negotiated the 8 chairs and refrigerator, and then everything after that, she just came, took, and wrote up.
So once she breached contract, she no longer was owed $2,500.
Yes, ma'am. Not, and that's in 2 parts. Not just the fact that she breached the contract with the stuff she took out of the store, but also the fact of the non-competitory clause, because the contract was written in accordance with the bylaws.
Okay, all right.
You call me Promoter, but I had a similar question to the elder. But my question was about the time frame, about the avoidance of the contract. The contract said that she had to be paid $2,500 in $100 increments. She had 25 months
Yes.
to pay that. So my only question
Yes.
was, when did she come in and take the stuff? Was it within the 25-month time frame? Or was it
Yes, she came in a month later.
That was my question. Is it all right?
Hello? Okay, just to clarify, that day when Q came into the shop, I wasn't really expecting her, and of course, like most people in this community, we hold to a standard that we don't want to get the white man involved in our business. As soon as Q came in, she dropped her adulterated contract off at me, and her 2 brothers came in and started instantly moving stuff in the shop. And I was like, Q, I don't want to call the police on you, but you know you're wrong for trying to bring the change contract to me when your partner who is on the contract with you is not here. On my phone. So it was a very short amount of time. It took like maybe less than 10 minutes. And in that time frame, I was arguing with Q. I'm sitting up here like trying to contact Drake, texting her, I'm trying to call her, but I can't remember what it was that she was doing that day that she couldn't get to the phone. And it was like, girl, should I call the police? I mean, I don't know. Is this stuff her stuff? Is it not her? I don't know. Like, call the police on her? Like, I don't know what to do. And when Drake called me back and was like, okay, call the police. I called the police and they were like, well, you're not the owner, you work there. It would be best if the owner takes note of what's missing, and then they file the report. And when Dre came into the shop, she called the police and they told her what they told her about it being more of a civil situation because of the contract changes and all this and that, you know, having to prove really what belonged to who. And so I just wanted to say that it's not necessarily like a purely scared of the police situation. It was like, I don't want to have to do this to her. And me being new to the situation at this point in time, I'd only been coming around the shop for about 8 months. And it's kind of like, I don't know what it's her. She did just get finished being the owner, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of it went down as argument between me and her rather than, you know, just like watching her take all of the stuff out of the shop.
I said, if I had been there, I would not have called the police.
It was just, it was tough because, you know, there had been a brewing situation. You know, I was aware of the meetings and the little things that Q was doing and saying. Like, I mean, I know at one point in time she accused me of stealing, but the first day that I ever worked in the shop with her, she left for like 2 hours to go check out something with a friend of hers, and I was in the shop by myself. And I just thought, who would do that if you actually cared about your business? And then to turn around and say, in hindsight later, you know, well, one of the decisions that you guys make that I don't like is that you brought Kim on board, but why? When it was, right, when it was convenient for me to be there, you just left out on the first day that you met me, you know? And so, it was just a messy situation, but it was pretty tricky, and Q was very methodical in what she did. I'm pretty sure that she knew when she came in, she was aware Drea's van wasn't out there, and I was probably in there by myself, and she could come in there with her muscle like she did, because not even like she came there by herself. She came in there with grown men who, as me and her are having this argument, are just picking up and moving stuff out of the shop. And I'm like, girl, I know you just added this stuff to this contract. I'm not a lawyer. I haven't taken any law, but obviously this is wrong. You know, I should call the police. And she was like, well, don't call the police. This is my stuff. You can call Drea and ask her, this is my stuff, and da, da, da. And it just turned into the mess that it was. You know, it was really a scheme, a get over. That's all I wanted to add to that.
You ain't scared of them.
Did anybody else
I
have
mean, I don't mess with them. Just trying to, you know, I believe in just exactly, it should have been what we're doing now, a community situation. I don't like to, around the same time that it came up, I mean, I've been involved in situations with dealing with the policing agency, dealing with the government, where they'll smile and say, we're here to help you. And next thing you know, you're getting messed up too, so.
Did anybody else have any questions? Don't all raise your hands once. Let me ask y'all something. Does anybody feel a division between the bookstores? Does anybody feel that?
At the Caribbean Festival, and I was like, why is there two bookstores? I never really asked, but in the back of my head, I'm like, why are there two bookstores? We're talking about Black empowerment and bringing the people together, why is there two bookstores? I always wondered that, like, why is there two different bookstores? Why is there can't be one?
Actually, it's 4 bookstores. There were 4 bookstores in this neighborhood. And Dr. Umar Johnson came down a few months back, and he made a commitment to have an event to bring the bookstores together out of his mouth. And it never really transpired. But, you know, we talked about it, you know, and just doing something, you know, on a large scale, but it just never happened. But it's quite, there's 4 bookstores in this neighborhood.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned the Umar Johnson situation. Umar Johnson was doing an event at the high school. He was talking about bringing the bookstores together, and they mentioned the House of Consciousness. I wasn't at the event at that time. Miss Equality, put your hand up. Yep, came to get me when another friend called me and said, hey, they're up here mentioning the House of Consciousness. I ran to the event where Umar Johnson was. I spoke to him personally, and we set up a meeting with all of the bookstores that evening to try to get something together with all of the bookstores. The same thing that we're doing here. All the bookstores showed up, but Conscious Planning. Timbuktu showed up, Truth and Knowledge showed up, House of Consciousness showed up, and I think Brett tried to send a representative, but Conscious Planning did not show up. She refused that meeting as well. And I think the problem here is that she's refusing meetings. She does not want to come together in this type of forum so we can have any type of resolve. I think that's the issue. So I asked, question. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, most of the other bookstores I haven't heard of. I mean, I just stumbled upon you guys because we live in Hampton.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think there is a difference. There are Black bookstores and there are conscious bookstores.
Yeah, these are all conscious.
Yeah, well, so my difference is if all the stores are conscious, what is the problem? So some of them can't be conscious because if I heard you, I heard me.
Absolutely.
So
because when we talk about division, we're not talking, nobody comes to me and says, sister, I feel a division between you and positive vibes. Nobody comes to me and says, sister, I feel a division with you and Truth and Knowledge. Nobody says that. Everybody that comes to me wanting some resolve for the division says, I feel a division between you and Conscious Planning. And that is why we did these things. It's the way that Conscious Planning was done.
You ready for that? You know, I always have something to say. I guess to better understand some of the accusations that have been tossed around, mentioned briefly the accusation about, or you asked that we heard, did you owe Vanessa or Conscious Planet any money? One of the things I also heard is a specific thing about the time the two were in business together, and I'm just going to mention it and give you a chance to address it, and it may seem minuscule, but it was about the time that you were in business, and one of the reasons why they chose to dissolve the business or walk away from it. And we're talking about that. There were things mentioned or overheard about things like stealing bean pies, throwing bean pies away and saying that they were spoiled, but at the same time we were selling them to keep the money. These are some of the type of the accusations that have come across my ears, I guess, and kind of led to the reason why they're promoting this image of you as, untrustworthy or some of the things that you did. So I guess the question is, do you still think that?
I'm gonna give you an example of a situation. First let me say that that's petty. That's very petty. And stealing bean pies, that's petty. But let me give you an example of why something like that comes about. There was one incident where Quinesta and Omek had an argument, and I wish that the Elder Revolution was alive because he was privy to this, where they had an argument about cleaning the bathroom. She got upset, slammed the phone down, and ran to Elder Remesu and told him that Omek was stealing and that he was taking stuff outside to the flea market to sell every weekend, even though most weekends she was out there helping him straighten stuff up on the table.
Revolution or Revolution?
Revolution, the ancestor revolution. Okay, so when you want to make somebody look bad, the first thing you say about them is stealing. Yes. I mean, that's obvious. Okay, but I want to call y'all attention to something. This is our bylaws. That you see my signature at the top, Quinesta's signature, and Victor Anderson's, that's his name before Remesu named him, at the bottom. Okay. When you turn inside. See where it says shareholders? See where it says shareholder, Andrea Winston 1,000 shares, Quinesta White 500 shares? Do you see that?
No, I don't think I see that.
See that? See that? See that? See that? See that? See that? I own 66% of this business when we were partners. 66%. So if I stole bean pies, who I'm stealing from? Yes, exactly. Bean pies, with a bean pie that's red. Right. I love bean pies.
My whole thing is that my name is Equality for everybody who don't know me, and I have more to say, not really a question. It came to this point because Dre's been going through a lot, so really having this meeting and she's looking for solutions, not just, I understand people asking questions to see what's going on, but a lot of y'all already know what's going on, so I would love to hear some solutions. I'm going to filter myself because everybody knows how I am if you know me. I feel like she did what she could. She could have took it to the white man. I still take it to the streets, but some of y'all gonna stay on wrong for that. So we just gonna leave that up. So I want to hear some solutions. What can she do to resolve this if the other party is not, coming and sitting down talking or whatever? What is she supposed to do? Because this lady's calling the health department on her, trying to make her lose her business, all different types of stuff. So how are you supposed to really handle that if you want to stay quote unquote on a civilized matter? That's what
I'm glad you said that because I want to say something about that. I'm glad you said that because when I talk to people about this issue or when people come and talk to me about this issue, the first thing that I hear is, I don't have nothing to do with it. Or, I don't take sides. But that's not what being African is. The Amish got their ways from us. When somebody in the community is doing wrong or won't face their wrong, there is an accountability that happens with them. They are shunned until they wrong their right. So if you don't want to pick a side or whatever, I'm not asking you to. But at least say, hey, look, this is not right. What you're doing is not right. Why won't you come to the meetings? Why do you keep refusing? At least say something. Try to get resolved. Because as a community, if everybody just says, well, I don't have nothing to do with it, then how are we ever going to say that we're unified or we're accountable for our actions? Here's the point. let's say Equality walked out of here today and Brother Mike robbed her of $1,000. We all know that Brother Mike robbed her. Can Brother Mike come in here and spend that $1,000? Absolutely not. I don't care how bad we gotta pay the rent. I don't care how bad I like Brother Mike. It's not about riding the fence. This is about my eye. This is about my eye. So I mean, when it comes to wrong or right, this whole, well, you know, I want to rock with them, I just don't want to be left out in the cold anywhere, that is an anti-African situation. Now we got a nation full of people who just, you ask them about an opinion about politics, religion, or whatever, and they say, well, I don't know, there's never a wrong or a right, and this. I mean, what would Shaka Zulu say? What would Harriet Tubman say? What would, you know, if you was in my shoes, what would you do? If you was in my shoes, and I want everybody to picture yourself in my shoes. You went through this with ex-partners. They came and took a bunch of stuff from you. They called the health department on you. They called the city on you. They start rumors on you. Vicious rumors. They can call in police. What would you do? What am I supposed to do?
Start off.
Yes, I have done protection rituals, thank you. So in the spirit world, yes. But in the physical world, what should I do? What would you do? Yes, ma'am.
There's two things out. Leave it on the job.
Shake Lizzie.
Okay, there are two things I would do. The first thing I would do is I would call on my ancestors to help me with the process. I've had to do that before, and it worked. Second thing, I would pull together people who have the understanding of what has taken place and ask them to write letters and give their opinion to the person who's the standoff. That's what I was doing.
I've done both. I've done both, and that's why we keep pushing forward. Because obviously, I call on the ancestors. We got two ancestral shrines in here, Brother George and Elder Revolution, Ancestor Revolution. They keep this place pushing. You know, without the strength of the ancestors, we wouldn't have been able to move forward. Especially when the city gave us a letter saying that we had to move from the old location, and this cost about $10,000 to $11,000 to put together. So we keep pushing forward because of the ancestors. But now I'm making a call to the community because everything cannot be done in spirit. We sit here in flesh.
In reference to the solution, having, you know, kind of been in a similar type situation, you know, we find that the problem, like you said, is accountability. Another one of the problems is that, you know, we don't consider ourselves authentic. So the subject of bringing the police in it, you know, should never even come into our conversation. But the reason that it comes to our conversation is because we don't see each other as authentic. We have an elder council, but if anybody in the community disrespects any member of that elder council, there should be something that, you know, they should be held accountable for it. Any women that is mistreated in our community, that should be taken care of. Right. The children should be in an environment where they're taken care of. So the solution kind of resides in the restructuring of the community council, I guess. When we first came to Virginia, you know, there were council meetings, you know, and, you know, we were privileged to come and sit in a couple of those meetings, and we saw the intention, you know, we saw what the focus was, but, you know, coming from being a part of a, you know, of a community that did that really pulled themselves out of society, you know, and being a part, you know, being able to be a part of a council where we had specific things that we did to handle specific issues. And seeing in this community now is because of the lack of authenticity, the lack of the selfishness. This is a big selfish issue because everybody's concerned about them. I'm not getting involved because I don't want something bad to happen to me. And then if you put yourself in that position, people don't want to do that. That's a fear. Like you can say visualize it all you want to, but I'm not going to do it because I'm afraid. I don't want to put myself in that situation. I'm going to stay in the comfort zone. So until we create something that can alleviate that problem, then the solution will rise kind of from that. But, you know, first and foremost, what do you call it? Generic solution would be to try this this type of form again, and just find us a neutral location, you know.
We did that, brother.
I figured you did, I just wanted to say it.
But Elder can talk about it.
Yeah, I just want to also add on that we want to continue these community forums, because when you came to Virginia for the very first time, we were having these on a regular. We want to continue having those. And what happens is that, you know, we talked about the fear. And we can look at fear in two different ways. We can look at it as an acronym, you know, like face everything and recover, or F everything and run. So the challenge is on us if we want to take a look at ourselves, because a lot of us have the theory of community, but have a difficult time applying that theory to our own reality, right? So now it's an opportunity for self-evaluation to grow, because, you know, like Andrea said, we want to stand on principle, the principle of Maat. So now it's practicing principles before the personality. So we stand on the principle, because a lot of us can't, you know, get away from those principles out in the real world. Like 3 of them, you know, I don't see nothing, I don't hear nothing, I don't know nothing. Snitching, right? So we hold on to those principles, and they have nothing to do with our culture. You know, that's a foreign European culture. We talk about, you know, renewing the spirit of our African ancestors. And if we can do that on a consistent basis, then we can appoint individuals within this community to do the community work, because there's a whole lot of work to be done. We have children in here, and they're watching. They're watching to see how we respond, right? And we owe it to them to respond, not to react, but to respond in an appropriate fashion. So if you're here and you want to see this, you know, come into fruition, I would say, stay in touch, stay in tune, because we want to make this a reality of community that we can, you know, use workable solutions to get to the bottom of whatever the situation is that ails us.
We were talking about ways that we can pretty much bring the situation to a close, I guess. Thinking of ways that we can bring the situation to a close. I guess y'all talking about civilly. I'm just saying, the nicest approach that I can take at this moment right now is, unless, I mean, you keep refusing these meetings and trying not to pretty much resolve the situation, I suggest, I'm not telling everybody, but I do, a couple of y'all know how I am, I don't go there anyway. But I think that until you are actually held accountable, you're trying to be held accountable and do what you have to do to remedy the situation, you're trying to disrupt somebody else's business. Nobody needs to patronize your business. That's just the way I feel, and that's on a very light level.
Yeah. So you saying boycott?
That's what it sounds like to me, boycott.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, just straight boycott. I mean, you're still over there, you're hindering somebody else from, you know what I'm saying, helping the community. But what are you doing? You don't think they should be held accountable for, you know what I'm saying, what they're doing? So by you keep supporting them, it's like patting them on the back saying, yeah, it's okay, it's okay. It's not okay.
When the question was raised, how can we help? Just the fact that we are here is a start, it's a big start. The fact that the other party didn't show is going to spread the word among those of us that are here. The fact that you brought documentation to refute most, if not all, of what was incorrectly or inadequately pointed toward you shows that, number one, that went into our ears, and then when we have conversations in our community, those that heard the other side, that's going to be a positive alone. And the fact that the intent is to continue to do this, and I'm sure that the other party will continue to not show. This alone is the fact of the other side not showing to the publicly within the community to discuss the things that were said. I think we've accomplished a lot tonight. You know, I would definitely say it's the first step in defeating this situation. That's my comment.
People was asking the question, you know, what caused the division between the two. Basically what happens is you have what I will call conscious renegades. And what I mean by that is you have people that do things wrong to certain people and then they run to the opposite side when they no longer accepted here. And that is how they get a lot of their people as far as business, community, and things of that nature. As far as a solution, what I would like to see is a community constitution. And what happens is we come up with this constitution and this is how we will govern ourselves. And all the different fractions of people, whether they're the Moors, Five Centers, whatever, they have a representative to sign that constitution. And it'll start almost like a conscious government. Because what I always wanted to do is I always wanted to start almost like a conscious UN, in which we have a representative of each group that come together and meet every so often and then report back to their respective places to keep everything, you know what I'm saying, on one accord. And it'll make it easier so that when things of this nature come about, then we'll all move as one.
Okay, awesome. What do we do with the person who breaks the rules?
I think that there should be the Elders Council. The Elders Council should be almost like the Judicial Committee. And we bring them before the Elders Council, and whatever their ruling is, and how it should be carried out, and that's how we carry it out. In which I also think that every group should have almost like a standing army. So therefore, if something happens of that nature, whatever the Elder Council say that we do, every one of them groups bring their army together and we do what we gotta do.
I love what he said. I love it, I love it, I love it. But at the end of the day, even some people sitting in here is gonna call white police. And we know that. And we know that. Before we left the old House of Consciousness, we had, the business owners had several meetings with the Elders Council. The Elders Council came to conclusions, caught people in lies, all kind of stuff. The elders gave us a solution. And that still popped up around the corner. So, okay, so do you honestly think if I had an army and I said, hey, she violated this, and we go over there, like some of the people in this room want to be that army. Yes. And go over there and do something. Is the white man going to get involved? Absolutely. Absolutely. So now we put the people that want to be the army at risk.
You right.
You got to have people that are willing to participate in that community forum you're talking about. And they act like they want to participate in the beginning, and then somewhere along the lines they fall off, and then there are people that go with them and say, well, it's, you know.
There's always going to be the opposite.
Well, we can actually start with, you know, a community forum, and the community come together to decide which way we're going to go with this. Because, you know, we have to begin to practice, because this, you know, things happen for a reason. You know, they don't happen haphazardly. You know, they happen for a reason. This is an opportunity for a lot of us to practice that old black magic that we have employed in times of old. this is an opportunity to really see what we're really working with. You will never know what you're working with unless your back is up against the wall. And our ancestors employed, you know, the forces of nature in a way where we were able to move things, just by thought. I'm talking about being able to practice those elements, and the only way we can practice them is to come together as a body, right, and talk about those elements, to sharpen up, the steel sharpen steel. Yeah, okay.
Promotion again. I think I brought this up before. Some of you may have heard me say it before, but I think part of the issue may be is that this community word, what is it? Who's a member of it? How much does it cost? What are my responsibilities? I mean, these are things that have to be addressed. We keep talking about this community, we have certain expectations, but maybe the first thing we need to do is define what it is, and then see who's willing to be a part of that, and then we can move on from there.
I agree. I wanted to say something too. First, community starts here. Okay? So we can get the Constitution together, we can do all of these things in flesh that we're talking about, but it starts here. We have to have the mindset of what right, wrong, morality is before we even start constituting anything on paper. Because if we don't have it here, these problems that I had with Conscious Planet and Quinessa White or whatever, I'm coming to the community for resolve. I'm asking you guys, come help me figure this thing out. If you know that she's wrong in this situation, approach her. Say something to her. Don't just come to me and say, oh, well, Drea, I heard. Go to her and say, well, look, what's going on? Why are you not showing up? Because it starts here. It starts here, in my mind. Any of you that have any problems, if you have a problem with your garden and you come and tell me, hey, I'm having a problem getting help for my garden, I should say, okay, well, I got a shovel, because it starts here. You know what I'm saying? If I tell you, well, I got these contracts that are not being abided by, you have to make your own decision in your heart and your mind on what you're going to do to help me remedy this problem. Because if this place closes, you know what most people are going to do? They're going to sit on the corner and say, oh, yeah, I remember I used to go there. It was nice. You know what I'm saying? When that's really, Brother George's legacy going down the drain is a detriment to the community. It starts here. It starts here. So even though I definitely agree with putting something down on paper and getting it moving there, but if you don't have the people here, then when there's a problem, here go the white man. Here goes breaking the Constitution. Here goes this. Here goes that. Here goes people riding the fence. Here, all of those things. And I want to also state real quick that I'm tired of backdoor conversations. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of people leaving out of here, then coming back here saying, well, yeah, I heard. And I'm going to just go through some of the rumors that I heard, since you guys were able to say some of yours. Everybody, who knows Debo and Mecca and his family? Okay. There's a rumor coming from Conscious Planet that Debo is held up in Ghana, in Africa, because he got arrested for murder. That's a problem. If that man comes back from Ghana and decides to rejoin this community, which he'll be here this week, you're going to have people that didn't say anything out their mouth, but that are going to shun their children because they think this man's a murderer. Because of some dumb-ass rumor. Excuse my French. That's a problem. How many people know about what happened with Omek and John? How many people heard that Omek got knocked out? Come on. That's what I'm saying. They didn't even come to blows. No. It was an argument. Omek wound up calling him and saying, look, we need to talk. He said, okay, we need to talk. And they didn't come to blows. But that's what I mean by backdoor conversations. And then not only is the conversation backdoor, but then you have certain people that carry the conversation like it's truth. That's a problem. That's what I mean, community starts in here. You can get it down on black and white, but if you don't have the people that really want that African resolve in their mind, they're going to be the people that think that love and hip-hop is real. And they need to live that way. Just because we watch these things don't mean that we become these things. So it is a community in the mind. In the mind. So if you hear a rumor and you don't approach the person that, if you come to me and you tell me, well, Remesu killed somebody last week, I'm not going to go and say, hey, do you know Remesu killed somebody last week? I'm going to Remesu and say, did you kill somebody last week? So now we have members of the community, and and the sad thing is that a lot of the rumors that you guys have heard, I'm gonna say this, who heard rumors come out of here? And be honest, raise your hand if you have ever heard me and Omek say anything about the Conscious Planet that wasn't true. But when I ask y'all rumors that are coming from the Conscious Planet, everybody raise their hand, well, I heard you stole bean pies, I heard you, I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta put in order and priority what is important. That backdoor conversation is not important. One of the things that Vanessa said about me that probably is true is that I'm a confrontational person. I am. If I have a problem with you, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to tell your friend and your neighbor and the person down the street. I'm going to tell you if I have a problem with you. And that's what we need in this community. Everybody hides behind the keyboards these days, or backdoor conversations, they say it behind closed doors. And one of the reasons, because I've been knowing Vanessa for 15 years, more so than a lot of you. One of the reasons that she did not come to this meeting, and I can tell you firsthand experience, is because she wants to be able to say, well, I didn't come because, you know, my mother passed and they stole bean pies, and so you don't understand. Promotion called me the other night and had an hour-long conversation with me, and he was like, well, I don't know, sis, I don't know what to believe. That is why it needs to be in person. That's why it needs to be in person. Please speak on it, brother. True.
He said, hold it.
Now, what I will say is that I'm not saying.
Yo. Like I said.
Yeah, I mean, because to me, it's the scariest thing ever. To have, I'm one of the people that have. I got a cop on. What happened was, I mean, since we're talking about it, this is a public conversation. Q came up to me and said, hey, I don't know if you've heard what's been going on. There's this letter by Xavier going on. Can you please tell Drea that I had absolutely nothing to do with that, and I'm not that type of person, and I don't have time for that. My mother is sick. I have better things to do. That's not my yacht. And what was scary to me is that she looked me dead in my eyes. You know what I mean? And you would want to believe her. And that's the scariest thing ever to me, because I take people for face value. And maybe that's not only being naive, but I want to see the best in everybody. So, you know, when she came to me and said that she didn't do these things, I want to believe that you ain't had nothing to do with it, especially when you look at me, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to, you know, the eyes are the windows to the soul. But yeah, so she seems believable. Now, knowing what I know and, you know, being privy to some other things that are going on, and now being here, you know, seeing the actual paperwork and the contract, I can say now without a doubt that I can dispute those things that she's accusing you of. But how do we handle that? I mean, what you said is true. We did have an hour-long conversation because you would want to do, I want to see the best in everybody. So when someone looks me in my face and say, no, I didn't do it, almost in tears, like, well, maybe she did do it. Until you see the... And then the last thing, I guess, too, like we're talking about the solution and the resolution of this, I mean, it's going to be hard for people to say, well, I'm not going to go over there because she's not here. You know what I'm saying? To defend herself. So on one hand, these are just accusations. Yes, you know, you have some paperwork and things like that, but she's not here to refute anything or give her side of the story.
She chose not to. It's not like we're doing it by ourselves. Like she chose not to.
Let me say this, right? Let me say, I went personally to speak with Sister Q because, you know, I have some insight into the whole thing as being a member of the Elders Council. We were privy to information before the split. So I went personally to her and I extended her an invitation to work this out. That's what I wanted to see them two do, work this out. And she said no. She didn't want to come.
Oh, let me add about that really quick. She said, I asked her about that. And I said, well, are you coming here? I asked her, was she coming? She says no, because it's a hostile environment. Why would she come to a place where everybody's already against her? She did say that she would be willing to meet individually in a neutral place, which I already said. Well, what happens to the last
well, let me explain. Let me explain. She said to me, the tape rolling?
Yes, sir.
Okay. She said to me that she would be willing to meet with and Andrea, I set that meeting up. I have an office in Portsmouth. And we set it up for a specific date and time. Everybody was in agreement with it. She called me up and she said she couldn't make it and decided to cancel out on that individual meeting. Okay, so now my hope is that we all have unconditional positive regard, for other individuals. That's my hope. But at the same time, if someone is coming, carrying a message, right, about the third person, I'm gonna take that person and let's go and find out if what you're saying is right and exact. See, because, I can't believe everything that you're saying. I wanna know. So the only way we can do that is, let's go see. See, because we always gonna be held, accountable for certain things that we do in life. And every time something comes up, it's an opportunity to practice these principles we say we live by in the conscious community. You understand? Because there's an opportunity at all. It doesn't happen without giving yourself an inside view on what you're working with and how far you need to go to get better. Because it's about constantly viewing itself. You understand? So now if I can't do that, if I don't have these things happening in my life, I won't have an opportunity to do that. So yeah, in answer to your question, when that sort of thing happens, let's bring them back to the person that we're talking about. So let's find out if what you're saying is right and exact. Otherwise, I have to assume that, that you're lying.
I'll say something just real quick. I wanted to piggyback on what Ramesh said real quick. When he came to me and said that he wanted a meeting, and then he went to Quinesta, it was in a neutral place. It was in Portsmouth, okay? He asked for a public meeting where this was gonna happen in Portsmouth, and then he asked for a private meeting. She declined and said she did not want to meet. So for her to not say that she wanted to come here because of the hostile environment, this wasn't the first option. The first time I tried to meet with her to do some resolve was in Truth and Knowledge Center with Umar Johnson. That was in a neutral place, and she didn't show up. So the fact of the matter is, it's not about she in a hostile environment, she doesn't want to show up. So the question I would think to you would be, why doesn't she want to show up? To me, that just makes sense. I think he's going to.
I think, I'm just glad I said, I think a situation like this really would be for the community, because it's not what you can do about it, but the community that's supportive of the House of Conscience to boycott that establishment until she addresses the issue, because that's the only way to get her side of the story. There should be no reason why she shouldn't want to address the issue. So until then, I think the community, they're really supportive of this, and the community as a whole, to boycott that establishment, because if she's calling in, the health department and taking money out of this establishment, that's not doing for the community. And I think that's what both establishments are supposed to do. They're supposed to be doing for the community. So if she's doing something against the community, definitely got to boycott that establishment. That's not personal. It's just, it's what we're supposed to be doing. As I said, I say boycott her until she addresses the issue. No point in being a coward about it. If it's the truth, it stands up. So.
You need the other side, though. So
Hold on for a second. There is no other side, in my opinion. If she doesn't want to address it in a public setting, she should address it in a personal setting. But obviously, she can't go to her. She didn't stand up to the elder. So somebody who's on speaking terms with it should make it happen. Until then, boycott. That's just my personal opinion. And it's not personal against her, because I've been there as well. But at the same time, again, if you're taking money out of this establishment, because I'm gonna be honest, who's doing what for the community? Nobody has to answer that out loud, but who's doing what for the community? So if somebody's doing something for the community over here, and you're just stunting that progress, come on.
So I disagree. However, I see that.
My name is Kumar. How bad? I was not familiar with all of this going on. But I would say, as I see the paperwork, the paperwork speaks for itself. In my mind, when someone gets a vehicle and brings it without letting the person know ahead of time exactly what they're going to do, and they're sneaking around, confiscating things that they're not supposed to, that they didn't resolve at the prior time to their advantage, that action speaks for itself. And I think words are one thing, but actions speak louder than it. And I agree with this brother here, that yes, she should be boycotted. Why should someone be supported, especially when they're continuing to do things to hurt someone else? Which, by the way, that karma will come back to her anyway. But when someone is now has done a deed that's improper and continues to add to that, why should the community continue to support those actions? And I think that would be a proper way to handle this as opposed to beating someone up.
I just wanted to ask a question. Can I ask a question? The guest. But I don't know, like, what is the consensus though, as far as was the sister wrong or not? Like, you know, because that's really what it boils down to, how people feel in general about the situation. So, you know, what do the people feel? I feel like she was wrong, but even though the other person wasn't here to speak, but that was by choice. So, I don't know. I don't know what the people feel. I'm curious. Yeah, that's really not my opinion.
It's coming your way. Okay.
I'm not anyone's spokesman, but when in any situation, I always try to look at both sides. That just helps me to discern things better. So we're talking about boycott, and I'm not in disagreement with we have to be held accountable. When we do things, there has to be accountability. When people heard rumors about House of Consciousness, before you knew they were true, did you stop coming here?
Hold on, I want to answer that. There's a difference between rumors and fact. There's a difference. That's why we're gathered here. I didn't come to you and say, well, Dante, did you hear that House that Conscious Plan is doing this and this and that? That's why we're gathered here, so you can look at the facts.
Right, that's now.
Right, that's now.
Prior to this, when people heard rumors, these rumors were going on prior to this, and people stopped coming.
But I don't think that's the issue. See, for me, the bigger issue is this. Many of us come into the conscious community with a preconceived idea of what we think consciousness is all about, right? So now, when we hear these rumors, because that's what they were, we have an obligation, right, to at least find out if what that person is saying is right and exact. Now, what it will test, it will test how much I'm invested in this idea of consciousness. You understand? So now, if I'm just using it, you know, like loosely, then yeah, you can tell me anything, and I can just emotionally agree with you, and with no follow-up. I'm saying that we need to be able to follow up, right? Because that's what Maat is about. It's about being just. That's where justice comes from. It's about, you know, dealing with the truth. The only way you can deal with the truth is being like an archaeologist. You know, they go digging for it, and they come in with facts. So it's not about a fact, you know, what you're dealing with. But every one of us is going to have an opportunity to be tested. Everybody going to be tested. You know what I'm saying? So it's about, you know, at the end of the day, it's about integrity. What are you really standing on?
These are the things that we're just now coming together to try to reform now, so we can all get on the same page and
Yes.
define what these terms are. So that
Yes.
would be from this point.
From this point forward. From this point forward. But true fact, right? She came with the evidence. She came with the evidence. And the evidence speaks volumes.
All right, peace, family. Again, I want to add, I look at the situation. This person's not here. It's not personal against Q, but what we're all supposed to be doing, we're supposed to be uplifting our community, educating, liberating things of that nature. How can she resolve a community issue if she can't resolve a personal issue? So I think that needs to be looked at. You know, how can she resolve something that goes on over in that area if she can't come here and do something for the community? So, I mean, I'm looking at it from that aspect, you know. I think everybody should as well, because if she's ducking and dodging, I mean, what else? I mean, can we really rely on somebody like that? Not necessarily be anybody, another establishment. Can we rely on somebody who wouldn't, you know, come and face the music or come and present their evidence? So, I share.
Yeah, what I want to know.
What I want to know is there no fly zone Coon Clan? Because if you can't face your accuser, if Trey owe me $3,000 and I'm telling people she owe me money, her and Omar owe me money, ain't nothing gonna stop me until I get my money. Now, I don't understand. You got a lot of rumors going around, like the A-Rap kid. He came in, he knew this community just like me. I never heard you or Omac say anything about them. I never knew nothing about them until Q's partner approached me, trying to get me to come over there. Now, the A-Rap kid just coming over here, we don't know him, but somehow he's telling you your whole story. Somebody's all over there obviously saying something. So, I think this should be a no-fly zone until she approaches you and the community. We should support her. And let whatever happen. Get into some gangster.
I don't have much to say. I'm pretty much reiterating what I've heard, but I haven't heard anything rumor-wise come out of here. And I'll be honest to say that I go to both places. Usually when I leave here on Tuesday and Thursdays, I go stop by there and I build with Trey. And I come here and build as well. But everything that I've ever heard about what's going on has been from over there. And I mean, I'm not saying that to slander nobody, I'm just saying I'm speaking the truth. And I mean, right, and the whole, what everybody already said, the fact that she's not here, it just speaks volumes. Because if somebody was slandering my name, or I felt like I was being falsely accused, I would want to clear that up, regardless. And the fact that this is a community forum, you should feel more than comfortable with the people who, yeah, it's not hostile. I don't feel, you know what I mean, I don't feel hostile. I don't feel like anyone would have came to her in a hostile way. So, I mean, it speaks volumes that she's not here today, but it also speaks volumes that she wouldn't even come and meet you in a private setting. That just, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. So, that's all I have to say.
You said you have to text if anybody wants to see it.
Okay, this is my final, and I'm going to stop talking. I would like to make a request of anybody that's patronizing both businesses. If you're going to the business where the person is not willing to meet and try to resolve the differences, if you are approached, why not tell that person to contact her herself? Don't take a message, don't be in the middle. Just say, if you have something to say, take it to her. Don't give it to me.
And then that will stop her at that point if that's what she's doing, because if you are passing the information to all your patrons to come into your store, eventually one person is going to talk to at least 10 people. So then you just multiply from there. So if she's bringing something to you, no matter how small it is, just say to her, take it to Andrea yourself. Leave it at that. That's all I can say. I'll shut up.
What's the consensus that's like today?
I think
I think Dr. Brown has to say
When it comes to, you know, solutions, I guess, you know, we talk about boycott and things like that. As we are coming up with a solution, we have to take into account that there's an area consideration. And like the contract said, if she was 50 miles or more away, this would be an issue. You know, for most people who know me, they know when I first came here, I presented my program to the elders of the community and asked for permission to move to this community. I didn't just come and set up shop. And it's a protocol into how things are done. There is an aspect of my program that calls for a cafe, but because Jaconi is here, and I told Dre, I was like, we support Jaconi. You know, we move somewhere else and we'll do a cafe. So, but there's a system of morals, you know, morality that is involved in this. So as we are dealing with the situation, understand that everybody is not operating the same system of morals, values. Because if anything, you know, the community meetings need to come together to kind of start unifying the definitions of the words. Because, you know, Brother Pamosi mentioned about what is community, you know, and I hear people throw the word village around, you know, and that was my word. When I first came, I was village. It's about the village, you gotta do the village, you know. But I have the Cabo Academy, you know. So when I, you know, it shared what my program was with people, and, you know, I got, you know, everybody, yeah, that's a wonderful thing, it's great, it's excellent, it's awesome, you know, and, you know, I don't see nobody. So, you know, I got a few people come and this and that. A lot of people say they're coming through. I've talked to a lot of parents. I had some parents come through and they, you know, whatever. But how the situations are being handled, that's the problem. It's like, there's no accountability. You come and you say, well, we're going to do a program. I don't like your program. So, okay, what don't you like about it? That's not happening. You know, people will come and they'll smile and they'll laugh and joke with you, you know what I'm saying? They'll participate in all your events and then, you know, not doing journey from Africa. So, you know, it's like competition. And we ain't gonna we're not gonna make any progress as a people if it's always about competition. You know, we so quick to go to just to stack up and compete against each other. But we'll call the white man to help us. We will mimic his stuff to fix our stuff, you know, and coming from a community where we built like pyramids and stuff like that, you know. I'm sorry, you can't tell me that it's not doable. You know what I'm saying? It's not doable. I mean, I've seen it done, I was part of it. And I know the potential, you know, and just dealing with the various people in this community, I see the potential. We have wondrous and immense potential, but we are stifled by just the whole Western programming that's been done to us. You know, so when it's talking about supporting, you know, and we'll boycott a business, that's fine. You know, I personally don't like boycotting black businesses. I just don't. Especially when we won't boycott Walmart. You know what I'm saying? We won't boycott their businesses. I understand the principle of accountability and having to deal with some things, so I won't argue with that fact. But I do want everybody to understand that there's a bigger perspective that we have to realize. So if we want to do this in a situation, then we have things that we do. Everything. So, you know, we can't, you know, we got to get Dre out, you know, out of the situation. And Dre, I got your back. Oh man, you know. So we want to make sure that, you know, we are accountable in all areas, in all aspects. You know, so that's just, you know, it's kind of like something we have to realize, because it's easy to go into things emotionally. And Elder Romessa mentioned about responding and not reacting. And that's universal science, because the mortal reacts and a God responds. So what will we be in this situation?
Well said. You have an event coming up shortly. You want to speak on your event? You know, take this opportunity. You, Dr. Crum, you have an event coming up? Yeah.
All right, every year we do an event called Journey to GAN that we created about 10 years ago for the children so that they don't have to deal with the negative energy of Halloween. We created Journey to GAN, we've had it, this will be our 10th year, but here, this will be our fourth year. 14th, this will be our fourth year. 14th for our fourth year. And it's become so, it's starting to become more and more successful, so they've given us a whole rec center in Hampton to use for it. We use the whole rec center. And it represents the concept of our stuff. We have to start creating our stuff. You know, when the brother mentioned about doing a constitution, we can't do a constitution until everybody's speaking one language. That's not English. I'm sorry. It's not going to be respected. You know, you just copying us. That's why they bombed Black Wall Street. Because we was copying everything they was doing. We need to come up and create our stuff. So the Journey again is on October the 31st. It's going to be in Hampton at Phoebus Recreational Center. We're going to start it at like 5 o'clock. And the children will dress up in cultural royalty. That's what their costumes are. It's cultural royalty. All over the planet. And all the adults wear white. All white. Because we're the guardians of what we call Igigi, who sit in the clouds. So it's a very, as a matter of fact, you go on YouTube, look for Journey to GAN promo. You'll see like from last year, you see our little promo video.
Free.
It's a free event too. So, you know, let us know. And for everybody who represents the community or a portion of the community, the Kalu Center is up the street. And what the Kalu Center represents is we're working on its community revitalization from within. So we want to become a source of support for businesses in our community, like the House of Consciousness and Shabazz and Sister Mofire's business, and you know, whoever's around, you know, who's in the community who is about the growth. We want to become a support group. We have an after-school program we're working on, a dance program developing. We do martial arts there. We do Tai Chi, Qigong, and then plus I have my educational program, which is not a school. So people who are interested, people are like, I need a school. I don't do school. We don't do that. It's school is shul. Shul is hell. Like, we're not doing that. We're not sending our children there anymore. When the Europeans coming on and they talking about if you send your children to public school, you're sentencing them to death. Europeans are now saying this. We've known it, we've been saying it for years, but now that they're saying it, now maybe it'll draw some stuff in our reality. Which means don't send them to school. They shouldn't be going to school. We should be, what the community represents, what the village represents, is we have a developmental program where the children learn what they need to learn to build the community. Our children go to school and they pick up these skills and talents, and now they want to lead the community. They ain't trying to stay around here, let alone come back and help build it. So we have to start to expose our children and put those things, concepts back into the children. And before I sit down, I'll just share something. One of my children was with his mother, and where were they at? Walmart somewhere? They were somewhere, and a Caucasian lady came and said, "Oh, you're so cute, what school do you go to?" And a young man said, "Cheeseburger." She said, "Oh, I think you don't understand what I said." She said, "What school do you go to?" "United States." And when his mother left, she was looking at him, she said, "Why you didn't tell her what school you know? Where you go to?" He said, "Because I don't tell white people all my business."
Before you sit down, right? That was on the point. Now listen, before you sit down, let's talk more about that language you was talking about. Can you kind of like, you know, give a little
explanation about it?
Yeah. Touch that for me, please.
Wa gabla in bu aisha if he has a jamo and he so na sona amalihu wa in had to be a current lagoton the in yaku shara ama nasifatna. Is there any other tim da bo fi lagoton the gad na baruf a wa yaku hadrofi wa balo josha yifo. If we don't have a language that we share, that we speak and use within our community, anybody can come in and mess whatever we're doing up. As simple as that. The language that we offer is called Kaluic. It's a dialect. And the reason that it's a dialect is because it was established to be a community language for us that ties us to where? To our community. Because we learn languages that tie us to geographical locations, right? So I'm speaking Arabic, you know, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, right? But when you think Arabic, we think Muslim. We think Arabs, we think Saudi Arabia, we think whatever. So if I'm speaking Hebrew, you know, Shalom Aleichem. Then we think in Israel, we're thinking you know, so our mind goes somewhere, but when people say, what language is that the children are speaking? I say, Kalu. And he's like, where's that from? I say, Virginia. So it's ours. It's a language that we're offering for the community. We have classes for the adults every Wednesday, right? Y'all come and sit in with our best student, Baba Kumar, right there. And we use it so that we can put the pieces together. Now, I've spoken the language with my family for 20 years, so it's most of my children's first language. So them having a language and then learning English as well as other languages, it gives them a very unique perspective on things that we don't have. And we have to start realizing that. They've done a job on us. So we can't think that we're going to do something that's going to fix us. We have to start fixing them so that their generation after them is going to be taken care of. We're trying to fix us. And that's selfishness. That's why we have these problems within our communities, because everybody's so selfish. I'm so worried about me. Well, how's it going to affect me? And a true community, a true village doesn't think about that. It's always about, what's the African proverb that said, many hands make light work? You know, and we keep forgetting that. You know, so the Kalu Center came as a solution and an aid to the community.
Give us the address of the Kalu Academy. I see some people having the pens out. They want to jot that down.
528 West 35th Street. We got a sign in the window now. Right.
I'm sorry. 5.
This will be the last thing I'll say. I'm really big on commitment. So since everyone showed up here, to me that shows some level of commitment. So I would like to extend that further, and let's all make the things that we were talking about as far as the Constitution, as far as bringing back the Community Council and the Elders Council. I want a commitment from everybody here that we're going to show up and make these things manifest, because you have my commitment. And another shameless plug real quick, the Reach Back Foundation is a community organization that we started here along with some other organizations. That's another big thing here. I find that there are a lot of organizations, a lot of people are doing everything, doing things, but we're just kind of like in our own little corner, doing them on our own. So one of my goals is kind of to reach out to all the different organizations. Some of them are here, and so we can link up and do this community work. But the Reach Back Foundation, this House of Consciousness is our headquarters, and we do things like community cleanups, food drives, we gave out some, not sanitary, but hygiene kits, thank you very much. Buffalo Soldiers, the Coven Society, there's a lot of different organizations. Men of Distinction is here. We're all doing a lot of great things. My goal is hopefully this community council or this constitution will help facilitate us coming together and manifesting some of these things that we're going to do. Look for the sign of sheep with a Reach Back Foundation, and we got Soul Revelation in the house.
On that note, I know a lot of you in here, but my name is Mo Fire. I have a building around the corner. My roof is being torn off and they're about to gut my building. So I will be here. But the program that I wanted to have, I have a food and clothes donation for a lot of people. What I was thinking about yesterday was the type of clothes that I have are, a lot of 3/4 sleeves, half sleeves, or whatever, and I'm taking donations for everybody because we need to start right here in our community. So what I was going to do is, once I got in here, I was going to go ahead and have it here instead. So if you want to drop off anything, food, clothes, and we could, that's usually something I do on my own without my business, but now I'm going to incorporate it with my business. And I'm going to be here, so you can drop the stuff off here and we'll have somewhere to put it. It just mean a lot to, me, like I've been saying, I've been doing it for years by myself, but now that I have an extended family, I want to invite all of you guys to, give, go in the back of the closet. I know it's shirts and clothes and pants that you're not wearing, but somebody could use it. You know what I mean? So from children all the way to adults, jackets, socks, it doesn't matter. If it has light holes in it, I'm a see-through, so I will fix it. But just give it. I do want to make an announcement that all of what I've decided to do from my business to Dr. Karam and his wife, I want to give all the children's clothes to them, so they can get what they need. Whatever they don't need, they can, you know what I'm saying, give out on their own, and they can give back so I can give it to somebody else. But it is important, it's imperative we help each other. I would like to get with, being as though I can't really get out and do too much lately, Righteous, I want to get with you, and I want to offer my service as far as the administrative services since we are going to do this constitution or whatever we decide to come up with. And you as well. So I do want to, give my part because I can't, I'm 7 months already. I can't just keep going out and do whatever. So.
Can't hear you, brother. What you said?
Yeah, I mean,
So, are we asking to get a committee to work on the Constitution?
Right. I mean, and I can,
I would suggest that the Elders Council oversee it, where we have at least a representative of each one of the different communities, groups, whatever.
So let's get a list tonight of those who want to be involved. Yeah, we can do that. Thank you.
Well, is the elder council already established?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did anybody else need to say anything? And I wanted to make sure that we had all rumors that, at least that were in this room, cleared up. I just wanted to bring it 360, like, you know what I mean? If we start getting off topic, which I'm not mad at, but I just wanted to make sure. Trey, I know you hear everything. You got anything you want to ask me?
Thank you for dress off from me. I heard. I broke up special stuff I didn't know about, so tune in.
You some stuff you didn't know about?
Yeah,
like what?
Well, you bought the bean pie. I didn't know about the bean pie.
So we're going to get a list tonight before you walk out the door, and we want to go with Brother Promotion with what his idea was that we're all going to commit ourselves tonight to do this again, and also to have the committee to come up with the bylaws, Constitution.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. You want to say something?
I just want to say, I know you mentioned you have foundation and that there have been a distinction maybe you can establish, because I know that we had like a book foundation, so maybe you can put together a forum where everybody, because I'm pretty sure some people may have not known that there are certain foundations that we can put together a forum where we have all the different foundations and groups that nonprofits come together so people can know about them, because I didn't know about some of them, so I was thinking maybe we could
Just to answer what you said, normally every year what I do is I do a cultural fair and a cultural fair. And basically what I do it like a job fair in which all the different groups get to set up a table. And what happens is it'll let the community come through and be able to see all the information, and it gives them a liaison between that group and them, because most people, they want to know certain things, but they don't know who to go to. So what I do is I get everybody to set up a table, and they have all their literature on the table. So then if they was to come in, they say, okay, I want to know more about the Moors. Okay, then they have you there in order to be able to get in contact with you, and it also drives up membership for whatever the respective groups are. You know what I'm saying?
And one more thing, also if you have social media pages, like young generation, so I know you're not trying to throw it in their face, but make sure you just kind of put it out there, hey, donate to, because contrary to what people believe, something, we as a people are selfish, but if you're doing something that's positive for the community, naturally people are going to want to donate to things like that. Because if you're doing those things, they're going to see that you're doing something positive.
And I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to address the donation thing. OMAC cannot stop accepting donations, I mean, you know, except for from the people that are in our inner community circle, I guess you can say, because of these rumors. Okay, because if there's rumors going around that I'm all about money, that I'm a thief and all that, the last thing I'm going to do is take the community's money and try to further and feed these rumors. And that's why it's important that if you hear a rumor, that you come and talk to me or get the person that said the rumor. Basically, what's important here is face-to-face communication. Facebook is taking over that. Twitter is taking over that. We need to, is important because then you get to see who's telling the truth and who's lying. There were black devils before they were white ones. I mean, let's keep it funky. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to keep trying to sit up here and try to explain this. Everybody knows this, but it seems like nobody thinks it's important until it's them in the situation. And that's a problem. That to me, that's a problem.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. You know, there's social kinesics. Social kinesics is a non-linguistical study of body language, right? So that means that, you know, when you see a person, you know, straight up in your face, right, you can tell if that person is coming with something truthful or if that person is coming with something coming out, you know, the left side of their face. You understand? So it's very difficult, right, to tell a lie, right, in front of a bunch of people that know you lying. You don't know you lying. But it's easier than from afar, you know, because that's what has happened over the past few months. From afar, making a whole lot of statements with no evidence. So I just want to say that we want to stand for truth, righteousness, reciprocity, you know, the whole thing, Maat. That's what we want to stand on, those principles. And I must say that those principles should come before personalities at all costs.
I don't need a microphone for this, but I wanted to say this. Just as you can tell with the persons that have on copper, when you hold a microphone, you are sending and receiving and interfering with the current. It's the same thing when you use Facebook and Twitter and tweet and Snap and whatever else. The windows are the eyes to the soul. So when you can't face someone, you don't really know if they're telling you the truth, a lie, or whatever, or feeding you baloney. And a lot of us don't eat baloney. So you really want to go face to face, eyeball to eyeball. And you want to get off all of that so-called social, which is actually anti-social communication. That's what it is.
So any more questions before we conclude? What we looking like on, how much?
We're good.
Any more questions before we conclude or comments that anybody wants to make? Like now is the time to get really, like I was really preparing myself for the nastiest comments and nastiest questions. Please ask me because I don't want to leave here today and I feel like it's going to happen. Somebody's going to come and say, I heard that something. So please ask me today.
You know, for me personally, I do think because most of the bigger issues, people have asked about those, obviously with, you know, the brothers, you know, supposed drug charges or whatever could have been looked up. I think by a lot of those larger issues being resolved, the smaller issues went away. So I don't really think, like, you know, that you have your ex-boyfriend set up and robbed and all, that's, even if you didn't know you know what I'm saying, with most of the stuff that's already been refuted, you know what I mean, successfully, I think all of that other stuff just went away. Most of it was just fluff anyway, you know what I mean?
Right. So, I just thought of something else. Yes. There is another rumor that I just thought about that OMEC wasn't a part of our business when we was down the street. So just to dispel that, just in case you hear it, that's the front of our bylaws. There are 3 signatures on there. Mine, Quinesta White, and Victor Anderson. Just in case you hear that. Well, OMEC wasn't a part of our business. Just in case you hear that, because I've heard that too.
How come William didn't know?
Because William, I'm glad you asked that. See, I'm glad you asked that.
What was the question? What was the question?
Why wasn't William, our 4th partner's name on the bylaws? And I'm glad you asked that. On the back, there is an addendum with William's contract. William was a preliminary partner, he wasn't primary. He only was 15% of the business. That's why he wasn't a major signer on the front, because it was not necessary. All he needed to do, he was an investor of sorts that dealt with some of the labor and the day-to-day operations. So he was only 15%. You can come up here and read that. So these were Williams' obligations. That's why it wasn't necessary for him to sign. And that's why he wasn't there.
On a bigger note too, right? I want to just make you aware, right, that this person who wrote this article that no one has ever seen, right, is a phantom individual, right? All he did was put out allegations, right, and sit back and watch how y'all respond to it or react to it. We have to be mindful, you know, because court and tell pro is real. You know, and we had a time, right, where information age is real, right? And we got to be mindful of those forces that will, you know, do anything at their disposal to destroy this community.
I wanted to piggyback off something he said. I asked one of the members of the community, because they was asking me about division and things like that. We were having a conversation. And he asked me, he said, well, what should I do? I said, well, let me ask you something. If Europeans were trying to close down the House of Consciousness, what would you do? Oh, I would do this. And he started naming all this stuff. I said, well, what's the difference? What's the difference? You know what I'm saying? If we're getting the health department called on us and these articles are going out to try to bring police here, what is the difference? If the House of Consciousness is closed, does it matter whose hands it closed at? Or does it matter that it closed? Because all of these organizations that are saying that they're founded out of the House of Consciousness, when it's not here, then what? Then what? The children come here twice a week and dance. If they don't have a place to do these things, us donating books to the jail, us feeding the kids every summer, if this place is gone, then what? The next person that we're looking at to take over this building, what are they going to do? Because even though these allegations are pointing at me like I'm the big bad wolf and I just stole bean pies and all of this, when we pass this down to Journey or another person, what are they going to do when all that weight is on their back? And if the community does not help them and assist them in keeping this place strong, what are they going to do when I'm gone? Because I'm not going to be here the next 10 years. I'm not going to be Brother George's age running this place. I already told him and discussed with him that we were going to start looking for somebody soon to take this place over. So what's going to happen when I'm gone? And all that weight that is all of this is resting on them. What will the community do to assist them in carrying this forward? And that needs to be the question. Because right now we're just talking about me and my reputation and what is about me. But the bottom line is it's not about me. It's about the person that comes after me and then the person that comes after them. We're trying to create a 500-year legacy. And I can't do that by myself with all this crap on my back for the person that says, well, what are we supposed to do? Maybe we should blah, blah, blah. I knew you was going to do that. No, not at all.
He got the floor. You know how to respond. You good. You sure you don't want to say that, bro? You got the floor?
Well, I raised my hand first. What I want to know is, I know you were willing to meet with the sister.
Well, here, give him one. We need to meet with the camera. Yes, sir.
I was saying, I know you said multiple times that you was willing to meet with the sister.
Absolutely.
And me and the brother demonstrated more science there on Friday.
Absolutely.
And I was unaware of these the situation.
Most people was.
And one of the things that we practice love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Love is our first principle. And I was wondering if maybe we can talk to the sister. And because she proclaimed her nationality. So once you proclaim your nationality, you're both held up to those standards.
Indeed.
Love, peace, freedom, and justice. First principle is love. So if we talk to the sister and help her understand that she needs to act out these principles, live these principles, then maybe we can get her to come sit with you in a private setting or a public session.
Peace.
Let me just caution you, right? And I know you mean well. I know you mean well. But there comes a time, we all come up short, because we all work with character defects or defects of character. And a lot of times it's very hard to really own up to things that we fall short of. You understand? So now, if we have a bunch of evidence to say one thing, but you're saying the other, then now you run into the fork in the road. Now, what one would have to do is say, you know what, I wasn't honest. You know what I mean? I wasn't forthcoming, and I need to work on these things. But it takes a whole lot of courage to do that. To do a searching, fearless, moral inventory of the things you need to work on. And I think that's the case here. You understand what I'm saying? So now, you know, and we all run into that fork in the road. It's a good gesture, but what I'm saying, the end result, you know, at the end of the day, what did she say? You seen the evidence. What would she say? So at that point, it would be about growth now. It had nothing to do with no one else, but it's growth between them and the God that they choose of their understanding to work with. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, good gesture. Good.
Just to add on to that, because I'm a member of the Moorish, community. So one of the things that we say all the time, that's old business. Let's get on some new business. So we can't go back and change the past.
That's right.
You know, like you said earlier, we all fall short. We all are imperfection. We strive for perfection, but we make mistakes.
Right.
So clearly, there's been some mistakes made.
Right.
But going back to get her to admit to that, let's not assassinate her character. We see for what it is. We know and understand what it is.
Exactly.
But let's let that be old business and try to, you know, institute some new business in a union like we talked about in the beginning. You know, unifying the bookstores, unifying the places of conscious awareness and awakening. Because one store, one location, one geographic region can't handle the need that's in our communities. So we can utilize her location, she can utilize this location, if it be. Now, if it don't be, then that's what it is.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that. But the only thing that I disagree with is it has to be some kind of clarity for growth. If I walk up and I punch your mother in the face hard, can you just then say, well, the past is the past, let's deal with what's here? You're going to want me to rectify punching your mother in the face. So I'm not saying that that's not possible, that's absolutely possible. But some things need to be cleared up, or it's going to be putting a Band-Aid over the cancer. This is cancerous. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I would like to say something.
Try it. Yes. Yes.
Travel safe.
And one thing we have to remember is that's a contract. And the contract was signed. That's got to be huge. We live in a commercial society, and that's a contract. That contract about 50 miles or whatever else.
Right.
Yeah, that needs to be here too.
I agree. I don't know if your mic is on, brother, but.
Oh, okay.
So what were you saying?
What you said is important, but this being a commercial system that we live in, she signed a contract. The 50 miles and the other things that she has failed to adhere to.
Right.
That needs to be, you said move forward, that needs to be moved forward to live it up to what the contract the person signed.
Yes.
Follow through on that.
Yeah, I agree. That needs to be resolved. Because unresolved issues fester. They fester. And they get bigger and bigger, and before you know it, it's, you reacted, in a situation that can cause some serious harm.
I'm gonna ask a question, and I already know the answer to the question, but already, I said I'm about to ask a question. I already know the answer to the question, but I'm just asking the question so the community will understand what is going on. But before I ask the question, I'm gonna say this. Like I said before, certain people have done certain people wrong within this community. So we have a bunch of what are called congruent. The question that I want to ask is, have anybody been banned out of the House of Consciousness? And if so, why?
Great question. Absolutely. There have been people banned out of the House of Consciousness. Do you want me to name them?
Yes.
Okay. Not all at once. Okay. One of the people that was banned out of the House of Consciousness, and this ban happened in the old House of Consciousness, not this one. So I just want to make that very clear. Nobody has been banned since we moved. But the old House of Consciousness, one of the people that was banned was several reasons. He was being inappropriate toward females, inappropriate toward children, and gossip. Banned paperwork here if anybody wants to see it. Another person that was banned was Sylvia. Does anybody know Sylvia, aka Chuma?
Yes.
Chuma was banned from the whole old House of Consciousness for gossip. Another person that was banned, Zakia was banned at one. Anybody know Zakia? Zakia was banned at one time. As some people call her Uni. She was banned at one time for being aggressive and also gossip. So yeah, those are the people that were banned. Yes, sir.
Is Issa one
Sir?
Sister Issa here? She is banned as well?
No, Bill was never banned.
Okay.
No, Mia was never banned from the House of Consciousness. Yeah, some people just took themselves out. When certain people, like, you know, when Q decided she wanted to leave the House of Consciousness, some people just wouldn't, you know what I mean? It's just, you know, that type of deal. But those three people were banned for those three reasons. And I want to go back to complicated situation, because we've had several interventions with just me saying, I don't like what you did and blah, blah, blah. No, we had interventions with them. The men in the community had 2 interventions with them for inappropriation toward women, and then me and Righteous had an intervention with his inappropriation with children. So that's why. Now we do a Feed the Children program here. You can't be inappropriate toward young girls, and we do a Feed the Children program here. That's not going to happen. So, and that's what I mean by it not just being about the person. So I'm glad that he brought that up, because another instance just happened here recently. Tahuti, anybody know Tahuti, light-skinned Tahuti? Yeah. Tahuti's not banned from here at all, but he was kicked out of here. And the reason he was kicked out of here is because he was yelling in the elder's face. Now I could have easily said, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Shit, Tahuti in here buying nachos. That ain't got nothing to do with me. But that's not, community starts here. You are not going to be in here and disrespect children, elders, women. That's not going to happen in here. We had another incident with the lady, the elder who comes over here and she does the dance on Tuesdays and Thursdays. One of the brothers, Makita, Sister Makita. She was over at Conscious Planet, came and told us that she was disrespected over there by one of the brothers in the community or whatever. I don't know what happened over there. That's none of my business. But I assured her that does not happen here. We do not disrespect elders here. We do not disrespect children, and you will be out of here because it is a community. Because. And that's the whole point. Not the whole point, but that's a big point of why we're meeting here today. What is community? You know what I'm saying? So if I bring you a situation and I say, look, the House of Consciousness is in trouble, then what? I shouldn't have to lay it out on, well, you should do this, and this, because then it sounds biased for me to say do this or do that. In your own mind, knowing what community is, you should have a definitive position on what needs to be done. I shouldn't have to say that. I'm coming to you to let you know what is being done that is threatening the House of Consciousness threshold. And that's all I should have to do, really. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so to answer this question, there were several people banned out of here for different reasons. Why'd you ask that, though?
my point of asking that question is, I use the term conscious renegades. You know, group of people that did things in this community and they went somewhere else and was embraced somewhere else. But you notice that a lot of people that, I really don't want to make it them versus us or whatever, but you notice that everybody that is over there was once over here. That something happened over here in order for them to go over there. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I asked the question. And if you notice that a lot of rumors and negative energy and things of that nature that goes on is fueled by the conscious renegades. That's one.
Okay, we've come to that time where we must close out, and we want to do it in a peaceful way. So let's do something like how we used to do it back in the old community meetings. Let's form a youth circle. Let's all, reach out and text somebody, like AT&T, and let's get the strong vibe, right? Yes. Thank you, appreciate that. I want to say that this circle represents what I can't do alone, we can definitely do together. The community member on my left, and the community member on my right, I can't fall, it's impossible. So let's hold on to each other like our lives depend on it, because again, that might be a reality. So I want to thank everyone for coming out, for allowing us to be a part of your life. To get to the bottom of, the inconsistencies and things that were really a hot topic over the past few months. I want to thank y'all, and hopefully we can do this again. So, whatever the God of your understanding be, we ask Him to keep us in peace, love, tranquility, and harmony. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Ashe, Ashe.